Hello, Suman Kumar, are you ready?
Yes, yes, sir.
Shall we start?
Once, sir, we wait 2 to 5 minutes, sir. After that, we start, sir.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
How, Suman?
Sir, am I audible?
How, Suman?
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are
Am I
audible.
audible? Okay, sir. Can I start, sir?
Just I want to welcome you first.
No, sir, no requirement of welcoming, sir.
Yes, very
All
good
of
afternoon
students
to
know
all
me,
the
sir.
participants that who have registered for this online training program for the ERS, JRF, SRF. I would like to welcome today's speaker, Mr. Suman Kumar Surendra. He is a PhD scholar in the Department of Science and Agriculture Chemistry, Postgraduate Institute, MPQE, Rowdy. And definitely because of him, we are running this training program. Due to his initiative, all the resource persons and all these things, he is acting as a co-coordinator for this or the student coordinator for this training program. And I am very happy that he is ready to give a lecture or the presentation on a very important topic, that is basic concepts of pure chemistry used in soil science and the absorption and cation exchange capacity, as well as the electrochemistry, thermodynamics. All these aspects are very important in soil science point of view. So I will request Mr. Suman Kumar to please proceed for the session. Suman, please. Share your screen. And unmute yourself. Okay, unmute yourself. Yes. Suman, your voice is not clear. Yes, Suman, you first test your audio.
Sir, I try to join, sir, in 5 minutes, sir.
Yes.
My mobile, through my mobile, sir.
Okay, you
Hello.
present all this from your mobile, no problem. But I think you don't kept both the devices in adjoining position. Otherwise, there will be echo.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, sorry for the inconvenience. He is just joining from his mobile. There is some
Okay.
network issue.
Hello, sir. I am audible, sir.
Yes, you are audible. You just,
Hello.
yes, you are audible. You
Yes,
just,
sir. Yes, sir. Just start, sir. Just start, sir. Start. Just start. Uh, Good evening, friends. Today there is no lecture available, so because of the request of the some students, there is one class will be scheduled at the basic chemistry, so that I schedule a class on basic chemistry, soil science. Because the soil science, there are so many reactions and so many concepts that is behalf explain behalf of the so many reactions that is happened in the pure chemistry, and also related with the pure chemistry. So we try to explain the some important concept of basic chemistry from the basic point of uh, uh, start from the elements, then constituents of elements, and so many things. Lecture schedule that is based on the basic concept of chemistry. We all know about the what is the chemistry, what is the father of chemistry. Lavoisier is known as the father of chemistry. Chemistry, which is deals with the composition of the different elements, and what is the composition of a basic body, and anything that what is the chemical composition of any body, that regarding to all these aspects we deals in the chemistry, in pure chemistry. First we discuss about the elements, because all the things are made up of elements, which is the pure form of which is a similar repetition of the specific kinds of the atoms that that make a special types of elements, that is sodium, potassium, hydrogen, lithium, etc. So first we what is the constraints of elements. Elements is made up of two three things, like you know that electron, proton, and neutron. Or we also know that the properties of electron, proton, and neutron. Electron, proton, and neutron. We also know about the proton. Proton is the a positive charge having some mass, and the electron is a negative charge having some negligible mass, and neutron is a neutral particles that's present in the atom having the zero charge. Because of all these things are stable, the atom converted into the ions, then it is then it's a form a specific compound after the reaction. So first, friends, we concentrate on the advancement of all these things. In science, there's so many things that chemistry is divided. Chemistry is divided into so many parts, like analytical chemistry, biochemistry, geochemistry, inorganic chemistry, organic chemistry, physical chemistry. All these aspects cover the different uh, parts of the chemistry. Like if you talk about the organic chemistry, mm, that studies about the composition, structure, structural properties, reactions, and organic compounds. Chemistry, then you deals about products. Study about the physical characteristics of the chemical. Hello. 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 Please mute. Please mute. Participant, please mute yourself.
Mr. Ajay Yadav.
Who disturbing?
Mr. Ajay Yadav. Yes, please continue.
Yes, sir. There is some interruption from the any participant if you unmuted yourself.
Yes, you please continue.
Then आप फर्स्ट हम देखते हैं कि एलिमेंट्स क्या होते हैं। एलिमेंट्स जो होता है एक तरह के एटम से बने हुए होते हैं, और एटम्स जो होता है वो इलेक्ट्रॉन, प्रोटॉन और न्यूट्रॉन से बने होते हैं। इलेक्ट्रॉन जो होता है आप जानते हैं नेगेटिवली चार्ज होते हैं, प्रोटॉन जो होता है वो पॉजिटिवली चार्ज होता है, और न्यूट्रॉन जो होता है उस पे कोई चार्ज नहीं होता है। अगर हम इस कंसेप्ट को साइंस में पूछी जाती है एटॉमिक नंबर, एटॉमिक मास। एटॉमिक नंबर जो होता है वो इलेक्ट्रॉन प्लस एटॉमिक नंबर जो होता है हमारा तो इलेक्ट्रॉन और प्रोटॉन का जो है नंबर है, काउंट है। हमारे जो एटम्स हैं वो एलिमेंट्स, उसमें कितने इलेक्ट्रॉन और प्रोटॉन्स हैं उसको हम बोलते हैं इसका एटॉमिक नंबर है। या तो हम इलेक्ट्रॉन को काउंट कर लें और या प्रोटॉन का काउंट हो। क्यों? क्योंकि हम जानते हैं कि जो एटम होता है वो स्टेबल होता है, वो अनस्टेबल नहीं होता। अगर स्टेबल होता है दैट मींस द नेगेटिव एंड पॉजिटिव चार्ज आर इक्वल। अगर नेगेटिव और पॉजिटिव चार्ज इक्वल दैट मींस इलेक्ट्रॉन एंड प्रोटॉन्स आर इक्वल, सो वी काउंट ओनली वन or any of them, electron or proton. If you count electron, then we also get the atomic number. If you count proton, then we get the atomic number. Next one is the mass number. Mass number is atomic mass. Atomic mass or mass number is the total mass of electron plus proton. That means the counts of electron plus proton is the atomic mass. And as you know that there is a negligible mass of electron, so we neglect the electron and then we count proton plus neutron. So atomic mass is a proton plus neutron. Then we proceed forward. There is some structure of atoms. There is some models that explain the structure of atoms, like Bohr's models and Rutherford models. Bohr's and Rutherford, first scientist Rutherford, the famous experiments of Rutherford is a गोल्ड पार्टिकल बम्बार्डमेंट। आप जानते हैं कि रदरफोर्ड ने एक गोल्ड के पार्टिकल पर बहुत सारे इलेक्ट्रॉन्स का बम्बार्डमेंट किया, जिसके वो कुछ उसके सम एजम्पशंस एंड सम ऑब्जर्वेशन थे। सम गोल्ड पार्टिकल्स आर, जब गोल्ड पार्टिकल के ऊपर उसने बम्बार्डमेंट किया इलेक्ट्रॉन का, तो कुछ इलेक्ट्रॉन जो है गोल्ड पार्टिकल को एक पार से दूसरे पार कर गया, कुछ अपने पास से डिविएटेड हो जाते हैं और कुछ जो है वो अपने पास पे रिटर्न आ जाता है। देयर इज 3 ऑब्जर्वेशन that will be observed by the Rutherford. Behalf of that, Rutherford concluded that the atoms have a specific place where the mass is concentrated. That is the nucleon. Outer the layer there is something that reflects the this electron. That is the electron of that particular atoms. There is the cell that they develop the concept of cell orbital or suborbitals. After that, there is no deviation of the electron that will be bombarded on the gold particles, gold sheets. That it indicates that there is some hollowness. There is a vacant space in the atoms. There is no electron, no proton, no neutron.
ग्रुप मध्ये ऍड केलंय मॅडम शी जरा कॉन्टॅक्ट चांगला ठेव। जेआरएफ नेट एसआरएस, जेआरएफ नेट एआरएस चा ग्रुप
उसके बाद हम बात करते हैं कि बोहर्स का मॉडल। बोहर एडवांस दिस फॉर्म ऑफ Rutherford explanation because Bohr and Rutherford both are the students of Oxford, both are students of Oxford. So that after the Rutherford experiments, Bohr explained these things in the detailed manner, and Bohr conceptualized the orbital, suborbital, orbit, suborbital, or orbital concept. What is the orbit? What is the suborbit? What is the orbital? हम ऐसे एज्यूम करते हैं कि अगर किसी व्यक्ति को अगर हमको खोजना है तो सब इसको हम इस तरह से कोरिलेट कर सकते हैं ऑर्बिट, सबऑर्बिट और ऑर्बिटल्स को। तो सबसे पहले हमको उसके तालुका अर्थात उसके डिस्ट्रिक्ट में जाना चाहिए, फिर उसके बाद उसके विलेज में जाना चाहिए, फिर उसके घर पे जाना चाहिए। दैट्स व्हाई इट इज ऑर्बिट, सबऑर्बिट एंड ऑर्बिटल्स। किसी इलेक्ट्रॉन के पानी की जो मैक्सिमम टेंडेंसी जहां पाई जाती है, दैट्स जस्ट लाइक पीपल से वी फाइंड दैट इज होम। किसी व्यक्ति के सबसे ज्यादा पाए जाने की प्रवृत्ति उसके घर में होती है, ठीक उसी तरह से देयर इज द मैक्सिमम टेंडेंसी ऑफ फाइंडिंग द इलेक्ट्रॉन इन द ऑर्बिटल्स। So there is the orbital where the maximum tendency of electron is finding. There is a less tendency of finding the electron in a subshell, that is a suborbit, and more or less tendency of finding the electron is the orbit, its orbit. Indication, if you thought about the indication, there is the orbits are indicated by K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, just like, and suborbits are indicated by S, P, G, F, many more things. In G, F तक हमारा ऑर्बिट जो पीरियोडिक टेबल है वो खत्म हो जाता है, जी में जाने के बाद कुछ कन्फिगरेशन की जरूरत पड़ती है। अगर हम बात करते हैं सब ऑर्बिट की, तो एस ऑर्बिटल्स में एक एस सब ऑर्बिटल की बात करें, एस सब ऑर्बिटल में सिर्फ एक जो होता है हमारा एक ही सब ऑर्बिटल्स होते हैं, लेकिन अगर हम पी की बात करें तो उसमें 3 सब ऑर्बिटल्स होते हैं, पी एक्स, पी वाई और पी जेड। अगर हम बात करेंगे डी की, डी सब ऑर्बिट की, तो डी सब ऑर्बिट में हमारे 5 सब ऑर्बिटल्स होते हैं, डी एक्स एस स्क्वायर, डी वाई स्क्वायर, डी एक्स स्क्वायर वाई स्क्वायर, डी जेड स्क्वायर एंड डी एक्स एक्स वाई, डी जेड एंड डी एक्स। चूंकि हमारे पास पीपीटी नहीं है तो मैं आपको दिखा पाता वो, मैं लिखने का कोशिश करता हूँ, लिखा जाए तो if there is a white screen, I try to write something. Yes, S, P, S, P, D and F, all these are the suborbits. In these suborbits, S has only one orbitals, P having 3 orbitals, D having the 5, F having the 7. If we thought about the name, S, no needs of S, P is 3, P X, P Y, P Z. We know about P X, P Y and P Z. If you thought about the shape, its shape is the dumbbell shape, like that. Just a P X, if you P Y, or if you is like that P Z. There is a 3-action orientation of the orbitals. If you thought about the D suborbit, there is a 5 dx square. That means it's a double dumbbell shape. That's a double dumbbell is like that. You know about dumbbell? In the muscle you use the dumbbell. That's a dumbbell shape. That's a orientation of the orbitals. The dx square. Like the dz square is, it's a dz square. Like that we explain all the orbitals, orbit and suborbitals. In exam there are no needs of all these things, but D is important for us. D is important for us because the transition elements belong to these orbitals. That is the D block elements. Because in soil science we read about the zinc, copper, manganese, Fe. All the character of zinc, copper or Fe, manganese are governed by the character of D block. Because all these elements have an electronic configuration 4s2 or D10. They cover the 30. Start from scandium, end at zinc. It is 21, it is 30. It start for the electronic configuration of 4s1 and end at the D10, that is the zinc. So we have the idea about the electronic configuration because if you have the idea about the electronic configuration, then we thought about the stability of element and stability of the compounds. Just we know about the colloids have maximum tendency to absorb the copper. Why? The reason behind this is copper atomic number is 29. If the atomic number is 29, then its configuration is 4s2 3d9. if one electron it gain one electron, it converted into 4s2 3d10. That's why the copper have maximum tendency to attach with the any collider surface or any negative surface, any negative charge surface. Next, we try to explain about the what is the mass number electron. What is the 1 minute? Next, we explain about the what is the equilibrium. What is the chemical equilibrium? Chemical equilibrium tells about in that is if you consider about A plus B into C plus D. That is the rate. There the rate of the reaction is depend upon reactant and product both. If the reactant A is less, the product B and D is also less. If the reactant C and D is also less, if the reactant B is the less, then product C and D is less. That means the reactant and product both are depend upon the reactant concentration and its amount. Please wait 1 minute. I try to share this. Hello. I am audible. Hello. Tamanna.
Yes,
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Actually, there is some connectivity problem, so that's we unable to share the screen from my laptop. Wait, please wait.
Okay, sir.
केमिकल इक्विलिब्रियम के बारे में हम बात करते हैं। केमिकल इक्विलिब्रियम क्या होता है? केमिकल रिएक्शन जो जिसमें हम रिएक्टेंट और प्रोडक्ट बोथ यूज करते हैं, और रिएक्टेंट और प्रोडक्ट जो होता है वो जब A प्लस बी, इफ यू सी दिस रिएक्शन, NO2 N2O is converted to NO2, or 2NO is converted to N2O. Both are the if we see from any sides, one is a reactant, one other is a product, because this reaction is a reversible reaction. So we thought about the chemical reaction. Chemical equilibrium, the position where the rate of the formation of reactant and product are equal. Yeah, we concentrated about the rate. हमको कितना रिएक्टेंट बन रहा है और प्रोडक्ट बन रहा है, इससे हमको कोई लेना देना नहीं है, उसके रेट से लेना देना है कि रेट किस रेट से बन रहे हैं रिएक्टेंट और किस रेट से बन रहे हैं प्रोडक्ट। अगर रेट इक्वल है, दैट मीन्स द केमिकल इक्विलिब्रियम आ चुका है, क्योंकि हमारा जो रिएक्शन है वो केमिकल इक्विलिब्रियम के साथ प्रोसीड कर रहा है। जस्ट लाइक अगर हम यहाँ देखें कि द फॉरवर्ड रिएक्शन एंड बैकवर्ड रिएक्शन आर इक्वल, देयर द केमिकल इक्विलिब्रियम इज अचीव्ड. So the chemical equilibrium is the point where the rate of the reaction are equal. That is the formation of NO2 to N2O4 is the equal. That's the rate of chemical equilibrium. That is the system is reached to the steady position. That is the chemical equilibrium. There is a chemical equilibrium. There is two terms. There is a forward reaction and a backward reaction. Forward reaction, that means the reactant converted into product, and product also converted into the reactant. For the deducing the formula of chemical equilibrium, we make a forward and ratio of forward and backward reaction, because first in the world, according to the law of mass action, product of the product, that is the final product, that is multiplication, product of the product, but product of the reactant, so that we get the Kc value, that is a C concentration of the C into the concentration of D, concentration of the A into the concentration of the B. That is the chemical equilibrium. That is chemical equilibrium importance for the formation of calcium carbonate, and this is the reason for pH of calcareous soil at the 8.5. Because when we talking about the calcium carbonate dissolution, the calcium carbonate diluted into the calcium and the carbonate, and calcium and carbonate are back diluted into the calcium carbonate. That is irreversible reaction occur in the soil, so that the pH of the at the pH of 8.5, the calcium carbonate at the steady condition, at the equilibrium condition, so that more than 8.5 is not achieved in the calcareous soil. Another question, part is the equivalent weight. When nothing, it is the graph of substance required to react or the replace or the furnishes for the 1 mole of hydrogen ion or OH ion. That is the जितने ग्राम ऑफ एटम्स हमको किसी एलिमेंट के, किसी पार्टिकुलर एलिमेंट्स के H और OH से रिएक्ट करने के लिए चाहिए, उसको हम बोलते हैं इक्विवेलेंट वेट। और अलग अलग का अलग अलग इक्विवेलेंट वेट होता है। जैसे हम एसिड की बात करें तो एसिड का जो इक्विवेलेंट वेट होता है उसका मॉलिक्यूलर वेट बटे उसकी बेसिसिटी होती है। बिकॉज बेसिसिटी व्हाई? Because H plus HA is we assume that H and A is a acid, that's H plus or A minus. A minus is the conjugated base. That conjugated base is the main reason for the acidity. That's the H plus ion is, because the A minus is the dissociated with H plus, so that the we talk about the basis, not about the acidity. Equivalent weight of the acid is a molecular weight but a basicity. Just like for example H2SO4 have the 2 hydrogen molecules that is dissociated. so that its equivalent weight is a gram atomic weight or molecular weight, that is 98 by 2, that is 49. If you consider about normality, normality nothing, it's the gram equivalent weight is dissolved into 1 liter of the solution, that is a 1 normal, is normality. What is a molarity? Molarity nothing, is a number of moles of substance, that is a per liter of solution. Right? If you consider NaCl, NaCl or NaOH, NaCl, there is a 1 mole of NaCl dissolved in 1 liter, that is the 1 normal solution. If you consider about molality, here molality, there is a number of moles that is dissolved in per kilogram, where is a liter, here is the kilogram of solution, that is the molality. Next one is ionic. Is what? The activity of ions in the solution is the ion activity. Ion activity, that is the dissociation of the ion in the solution. When you place any salt like NaCl, KCl, or many more things, then dissociated into its ion, that is the K plus ion. NaCl is Na plus and Cl minus ion. KCl is K plus and Cl minus. If you thought about this activity in soil, because whole the salts are not dissociated in the ions, in the form of ions. So we measure its ion activity. What's the amount of dissociation that will be occurred? At the higher concentration, there is the lesser ion activity. At the lower concentration, at the time of dilution, there is a more ionic activity. Ionic activity are shown by the shown by the that types of like salts, NaCl, KCl. And another part is the Debye-Huckel theory of activity of ions. With the help of Debye-Huckel theory, we calculate the ion activity. There is no more use of ion activity. There is another term is ionic strength or ionic strength. That is coined by Lewis and Rendell, 1921. Lewis and Rendell coined the ionic strength. When you dissolve any ions, any electrolytes in the solution, then it is dissociated, and its strength is the increased. Just like if you consider the NaCl is a converted dissolved in the solution, then we get the its ionic strength. When we dissolve the H2SO4 in any solution, then we get another types of ionic strength, because the H2SO4 have the 2 moles of H plus ion, 1 mole of sulfur ion having the 2 valency. Due to that, there is some increment in ionic strength of the solution. That will be calculated by the following formula. It is the half of the summation of the concentration of the particular ions and its valency. That is we understand these things about one example. When you take the 3 molar of the potassium chloride, then we thought about its ionic strength is 1 by 2, because 3 mole of the if you talk about the concentration is the 3 mole, and if you talk about its valence, it is 1, because K plus having the 1 valency and chloride also having the 1 valency. After adding all its concentration and its valency square, we get the ionic strength. There one concept is ion pair. There is some ions, they are always occurs in the pair, because of the thermodynamically it is stable. So the concept of ion is ion pairs are developed by Davis 1962. According to the Davis, the ions of the electrolytes that in the concentrated solution try to held to each other, try to focule in a focule manner, like Na plus Cl minus, and they also covered up by the water cells. There another concept is the hydration radius and hydrous radius and the radius, also used for explaining the ionic pairs, because the ionic hydrous radius is the inversely proportional to the atomic radius. We know that if you go to our periods in up to down, there is a decrement in the ionic radius, and just opposite, the hydrous radius is increases. Because of that, lithium having the highest hydrous radius and cesium having the lowest hydrous radius. So the hydrous radius also useful in the explaining the isomorphous substitution in the in the cation exchange capacity, and also the explaining the pH dependent charge development. Under complex is the complex ion. This concept is also useful in the explaining the colloid or metal interface and colloid metal interaction. During the colloid metal interaction, what is the complex compound or complex ion? We know that the d block elements having the d orbitals having the 10 electrons. Due to that, there is the so many vacancy electron, and there is increment of the vacancy. So that we do not expect the d block element d block element form the chemical bonds and chemical bond in the types of ionic bond and covalent bond. They form special types of bond that is a coordinate bond, because the d block elements have the specific tendency to coordinate with the lone pair, so that they form the two types of the complex, that is inner sphere complex or outer sphere complex. In inner sphere complex, there is directly linked with the lone pair of H2O, NH3, and so many ligands. And the outer sphere complex is charge developed by the d block elements, that ALOH ka whole thrice having the +3 charge or -3 charge linked with the ligands having the lone pair. That is the Lewis base. One concept is acid and base. We all are aware about the acid and base. There are three concepts of there are three theories which explain the acid and base. Bronsted and Lowry theories, Arrhenius theory, and Lewis theory. According to Bronsted and Lowry, the acid and base are the compounds having the tendency to accept the electron or donate the electron. In the behalf of that, we try to explain the acid or base. If you explain the acid, the acid is the compound that donate the base, donate the electron, and base is the compound that accept the compound that accept the base and accept the electron, and the base is the compound that donate the electron. Behalf of that, we conclude the two things, that is the conjugate based acid theory. Conjugate acid base theory, it tells about if you take about the H2, if you tells about the H2 is the amphoteric substance having the acid and basic acidic and basic both properties. Where the H plus and OH minus. If you treated H2 as the acid, then OH minus is the conjugate base. If you treated H2 as a base, then H plus is a conjugate acids. And another concept is the strong weak acid. We know about we all of those are know about strong acid and weak acid. A weak acid is the HClO4. HClO4 is the strongest acid because its dissociation in the soil solution is 100%. HCl has the highest dissociation, having 100% dissociation. But in weak acid, that's the acetic acid, they have the dissociation less than 100%. In the highly dilute condition, it is the dissociate up to 100%. Next one is the how to determine the pH of the solution. What is the buffering capacity of any acid or base, which is the salt. So first I try to discuss about the how to calculate the pH and how you get the pH. According to the law of mass action and chemical equilibrium, K is equal to the product and reactant. If you taken the HA is the acids that is dissociated in the soil solution, H plus or A minus ion, then we written as per the law of mass action, K is the H plus concentration of H plus ion and A minus ion by HA, that is the acids. After taking the after the sum arrangement of this equation, we get the H plus and KHA by A minus. Then taking the log in both sides, after you get the minus log h plus barabar log k plus log ha plus by a minus. And after that, taking that log h plus, and that is the pH, and minus log k barabar pk log h plus a minus by ha. That is the pH is equal to pk plus log conjugate base by acid. That's the equation which is so many times asked in the so many exams. And another concept is solubility product. Solubility product is the, what is the solubility product? Solubility product is the, if you dissolve the any salt in the solution, there is the three types of solution that is formed due to the dissolution of the salt in the solution. First one is the unsaturated solution, saturated solution, and supersaturated solution. For the determining the saturated, unsaturated, and supersaturated condition, we talk about the KSP. KSP, that is the solubility products. So what is the solubility product? Solubility product is nothing, is the product of the it is the product of the component of the electrolyte that is dissolved in the salt. That is the concentration of its anion and cations. Okay, so that KSP is the product of the its anion and cation with its valency factor. Just for determining the ionic projection of the saturation and unsaturation, if the ionic product is the less than KSP, that is the unsaturated undersaturated or unsaturated solution. If the ionic product is the equal to KSP, that is the saturated solution. If the ionic product is the more than the saturated KSP, that is the saturated or supersaturated condition. Just like if you take a one beaker having the H2O, and if we add the some NaCl, after the some points in initial phase there easily dissolution of the NaCl. After sometimes we add the NaCl, then after added the NaCl, you feel that there just takes some time for the dissolving the NaCl in the solution. So that this is the condition of the unsaturation, saturation, supersaturation. After sometimes there is no dissolution of the NaCl in the salt. This is the super saturated condition. Another things that I try to explain is the thermodynamics. What is the thermodynamics? Part of the thermodynamics. Thermodynamics, for explaining the thermodynamics, we have some basic idea about the some terms. Just like first is the system. What is the system? System is nothing. System is, what is the system? System is the quantity or matter that is surrounded by the arbitrary surfaces, or the particular mass which is surrounded by anything or covered by any system that is the surrounding. Or boundary body is the delineation between the mass and the surrounding. Delineation between the mass and surrounding, or the it is the boundary that differentiates the mass from the surrounding. It is the boundary. After that, we have some small concept about the energy, enthalpy, or entropy. What is energy? Energy, you know the word. It is the capacity to do work. And enthalpy is the heat content of a system. And entropy, it is the thermodynamic term, that means the randomness of system. That is the randomness of system. What is the randomness of system? That is, if you talk about the solid molecules of solid, liquid, and gas. Liquid molecules, solid molecules have the less randomness because they all are arranged by the intermolecular force. Have the laser vibration movement of the intermolecular space. Having a laser molecular having a laser intermolecular space. And also, if you talk about the liquid, there are some increments from the solid. And we talk about the gas. The gas have the highest vibration of the elements. That's the highest randomness, highest entropy. After that, there is the one concept of the energy balance is given by the Gibbs equation. Is delta G is equal to delta H minus T minus S. That is, G is Gibbs energy, H is enthalpy, T is a temperature, or S is a randomness of the system. If any system that is the spontaneous in nature, having the G is in the negative form. If G is in the negative form, the system is always in the always in the spontaneous, or a system which is occurring in the nature, which is we try to spontaneous in nature, because there is a less amount of heat is required for the running this system. So every system try to become a spontaneous in nature. Next one is the difference law of thermodynamics. There is the first law can neither be created nor be. That means the energy can transform from one form to another form. We convert electric energy into mechanical energy, or mechanical energy to electric energy. During this process, there is some loss of energy will happen, but practically that is ignoring these types of losses. Second law of thermodynamics tells about the process of spontaneity. What is spontaneity? We also discussed about spontaneity. जो स्वतः होने वाले process होता है उसको spontaneous process बोलते हैं. So every system try to increase in its entropy regarding to its surroundings, so that it becomes a spontaneous reaction. Third reaction tells about the increase in the stopping in the increase of the entropiness. Entropiness means randomness. Every system try to stabilize its body, stabilize its atoms, stabilize its molecular particles. For that he approaches toward the steadiness of the its entropy. So that all three law of thermodynamics are important for explaining the so many concepts regarding to the soil science. And another term is the chemical kinetics. We calculate the amount of reaction. What is the rate of reaction? What is the speed of rate of reaction? Or one of the most important things is the radioactivity, that is governed by the chemical kinetics. We discuss about later on the radioactivity. Radioactivity, what is the radioactivity? Spontaneous degeneration and disintegration of the any heavy metals having the atomic number more than 19. Because of why it is degrading or disintegrating? Because it have the high number of electrons with respect to its proton or electron. That's why it try to disintegrate into the maintain its electron by proton ratio, electron proton ratio with respect to the neutron, because it try to the neutralize its system and become the stable system, so that so many heavy metals just like uranium, thorium, thallium, etc. disintegrate into the different particles and converted into the smaller particles. During that, they irradiate the different types of the elements like alpha, beta, gamma, like that. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, sir.
Kumar Kumar, have you completed your?
Yes, sir. It's covered, sir. Yes, sir. It's covered, sir.
If there is any question, you put it in chat box. Otherwise, ask that question by raising hand. Okay, I thought there are no any questions.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, dilution का effect
Yes, yes.
क्या होगा? Hello, sir, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
किस चीज पे?
Sir, आपने
Yes,
बताया
yes,
ना,
you are audible. तो डायल्यूशन का इफेक्ट किस चीज पे?
सर डाइल्यूशन का इफेक्ट कंसंट्रेशन पे क्या होगा? नॉर्मली तो वो डिक्रीज ही होती है ना, बट इज देयर अ फैक्टर लाइक अगर हम 2 टाइम्स डाइल्यूशन करेंगे
Yes, yes,
तो
normally अगर हम yes, 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 in dilution under the dilution the effect is the decrement of the concentration. When we talk about the weak acids ionic strength, after the increasing the dilution, the weak acid dissociation increases. It's opposite things here. जब हम डाइल्यूशन करते हैं ना तो वीक एसिड का जो आयनिक स्ट्रेंथ होता है वो इंक्रीज करता है.
सर मैंने ऐसा
So
कहीं
we
पे पढ़ा
concluded
है कि
the yes, yes.
सर शायद सोसाइटी की बुक में उसमें लिखा है दैट कंसंट्रेटेड सॉल्यूशन फेवर्स द एक्यूमुलेशन ऑफ मोनोवेलेंट आयंस whereas this concentrated solution favors the accumulation of monovalent ions and dilution favors the accumulation of this divalent ions. So sir इसका क्या relation है, आप please थोड़ा elaborate करिए.
Divalent ion. Yes, yes. इसका रिलेशन यही मोनोवेलेंट आयन जब मोनोवेलेंट आयन दैट मींस द मोनोवेलेंट आयन है इजीली डिसोसिएबल. सॉइल सॉल्यूशन में आसानी से डिसोसिएट कर जाते हैं मोनोवेलेंट जस्ट लाइक KCl NaCl are easily dissociate in the soil solution, but the CaCl2 CaSO4 are lesser in the dissociation in the soil solution. So dilution favor the accumulation of divalent ion, and the concentration of the solution favor the accumulation of monovalent ion. You got it?
Okay sir, thank you.
Hello.
Thank you sir, thank you.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Yes, yes.
Yes.
So there is no question, sir. I have.
Okay.
So we end the meeting. Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Yes, Prem Shankar.
So please
good.
again explain the thermodynamic law.
Yes, yes. The first law of thermodynamics tells about there is no destruction of energy during the in the system. That is, the energy can be only transferred from one form to another form. That is, the mechanical energy converted to electrical energy. Electrical energy is converted into the mechanical energy. Second law of thermodynamics tells about the entropy. Any system try to achieve its maximum entropy position so that it stabilize its system. And third law explain about the randomness of the system. Every system try to constant its randomness, try to a steady state of its vibration of the molecules so that it will be stable in the nature.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, I think there are no any question. Thank you, Suman Kumar Suvendra for yes.
Or
Sir,
yes.
just before 1 minute, you said no, sir. Dilution favors the accumulation of monovalent cation or divalent cation. Hello, sir.
Dilution is the accumulation of divalent cation.
Okay, sir. Okay,
Thank you,
sir.
Suman Kumar, for giving a very nice information regarding the electrochemistry, thermodynamics, and all aspects of.
There is some interruption due to the network problem, sir.
Okay. I will just give me 2 minutes for your thanks. On behalf of this
Yes.
post director and the faculty and the students, I would like to thank Mr. Suman Kumar. He has given a very nice information regarding all the aspects of soil science, that is electrochemistry, then all the elements, atomic numbers, atomic weight, and all the aspects that was necessary for the soil science. He has covered almost all these things. I am very thankful to Suman Kumar for giving a very nice lecture, and I appreciate your initiative for giving this lecture as a PhD scholar. Thank you very much. Thank you, Suman.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.